first of all, to thank you, the organizer, for this opportunity, which actually gave me some time to think how everything started. Yeah, you work and you have plenty of stuff to do, and then suddenly someone asks you to come and give a talk about your experience on a specific topic, and you start thinking, well, okay, when everything started, why I'm ended up in doing what I'm doing. And the result was that actually everything started in 1992. And when I realized that, I was, wow, it's quite some time ago. I'm a lawyer since 1992, and I've been practicing in Italy for 12 years before arriving at the International Criminal Court. But actually, everything started not as a lawyer. Everything started as someone who decided in 1992 to take a job for the International Committee of the Red Cross and to leave for Albania. Now, Albania in 1992, when I arrived there, it was, I think, the 9th or the 10th of June, so more or less the same time, but ages ago in my memory. And when I arrived there in 1992, I was still very young. And the first impression that I had after exiting the plane was just being in Italy in 1945, immediately after the Second World War. This is what I was confronted with when I arrived there. Like, why I was there? Because I took a position as delegate for international humanitarian law in Albania. They needed someone speaking Italian because at that point in time, everybody was listening at the RAI, the Italian TV, and everybody could more or less understand Italian, so they needed an Italian. So I was lucky enough to be selected. And this was the first time that I realized as a jurist that you can be and you can make the difference for someone with what you have learned, in the way in which you can speak for people, in the way in which you can advocate for people, in the way you can empathize with people. It was the first time I realized that actually the law is at the service of someone. It's not just studying and becoming a lawyer. It's just being a lawyer to represent someone and to be the voice of someone. Michael already said that a lawyer for victims is someone who is there to speak for them. But when you speak for victims, you speak for victims differently depending on the context of different cases and depending also on the different interests that your clients might have. Now, let's try to put this into context. At this point in time, I'm a lawyer before the ICC, and I have been representing in the last 10 years more or less 50,000 victims in the proceedings. It's enormous, I think. And in each proceeding, I have to adapt myself not only to the proceeding itself, but to the interest that my clients had in each single proceedings. At this point in time, I am representing victims in 3 ongoing proceedings at the ICC in 3 different stages. One case is full trial. We are hearing the prosecution case, evidence in courtroom. Second case, we are in preparation for trial, so still create a little bit the architecture for the trial. In the third case, we are in the reparations proceedings. Trial is over, appeal is over, reparation proceedings for victims is ongoing. Now, each morning when I wake up, and each morning I have confronted with different challenges, different issues, different chambers, different legal matters, different people. My priority is, of course, victims, my clients. This is what guides, I would say, my daily life. And why? Well, because when you are a lawyer for victims, when you start this job, I think that everybody starts this job a little bit like any lawyer, thinking of a case. You want to win a case. You want to do the best for your client. But sometimes it's not sufficient to be a good lawyer to win a case. Sometimes you need to compromise in order to balance the interest of your client or what you think is the best for the case itself. And another thing is that you need to take into account, and this is possibly the most difficult part of our job, is that you need to take into account the individual views and concerns of people. Now, it's quite easy when you work in a national environment, when you might have maybe 5, 6 clients at the same time. But when you have, as Michael was just saying, thousands of people, then you have to remind yourself that it's not the 1,000, it's each people among the 1,000 who counts for you. Each single concerns count for you. And this is already important. Why? Because this is part, as also Mariana was saying, of the empowerment. It's part of helping victims in feeling that justice is made for them. It's part of your task of helping victims feeling that they are part of something much more big, which is justice. And when you speak with victims, it's actually amazing the messages that you can get from them. Normally, the first question that I ask to my clients when I meet with them is, but why you want to participate in these proceedings? Imagine in some cases, you are just somewhere in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Ituri, in a small village. If people are queuing to meet you, people are standing since 4 o'clock in the morning because they have heard that their lawyer is there for them. It's a huge responsibility to some extent. But then at the end of the day, you feel that people are satisfied, not because they have just received justice, but because they have the possibility to speak with someone who understands what happened to them and will be standing in courtroom just to speak for them. And this is what really matters for them. And I was telling you, imagine that you are just maybe in Ivory Coast or in the Democratic Republic of the Congo or in Uganda or in Mali or anywhere else. Now you cannot just go there and start doing your job without any preparation. This is another important component, I think, of the work of any lawyer, particularly a lawyer who is representing thousands or hundreds of victims in proceedings, far from the place where the events occurred. If you are sitting in The Hague in a very nice office, maybe it's not raining, you are very lucky, it's a super good day, plenty of sunshine, and you are just looking at your screen and you are preparing a legal argument. Well, that's not sufficient to represent the interest of your clients. You will be never, ever, ever be able to represent the interest of your clients if before you have not traveled far to meet with them. There is no way that you can take the interest of your clients into account if you don't know what their story is. At the end of the day, it's all about the story that they have to tell. You are the instrument for them being able to tell that story. And the way in which you tell that story is very important for them. If you ask victims, okay, why you want to participate in the proceedings, at the end of the day, the Office of a Prosecutor is also taking into account your interest. He or she has a statutory obligation to do it. Well, not surprising. Victims will tell you, well, because when I meet someone from the Office of a Prosecutor, they will tell only the part of the story which is important for their theory, for what they want to show, or for the evidence that they want to present, but not necessarily what happened to me or to my family or to my community. I want someone who understands what we are talking about. And I'm sure that I can trust that person because that person will stand in courtroom and will tell the story exactly the way I have been suffering. This is the beauty of being a lawyer for victims. Being able to be part for them of a big picture in which you try to do your best, hoping that justice will be done. Thank you.